Hey guys, just thought I'd do a quick little video while I'm driving here on tire pressure. Manufacturer, you can always go with that. That's probably a good starting point for tire pressure, but it's also not a bad idea to experiment a little bit. Usually it's within, I find, within 1 to 2, maybe 3 psi from the manufacturer is where you know, the range is. Beyond that, you know, things get a little funny. Obviously, the worst is underinflated, and a couple reasons for that. Obviously, the tire is doesn't have the isn't supporting enough the vehicle's weight, so the vehicle can actually push through the air and hit your rim, causing a pinch flat. Or if you're going around a corner, it could pull right off the wheel if you have low enough inflation, low enough air, because the bead's not tight enough against the tire. The other thing is happens when you underinflate your tire. And this was a big thing with the Firestone tires and the Ford Explorer. They knew that, but still, any tire will do that if you run too low of air pressure. If you look at the tire, the bottom of the tire, it's kind of like it deforms a little bit because of the weight of the car, just ever so slightly, just a little bit. So every time that wheel comes around, the wheel deforms a little bit in that area, just as that wheel touches the ground from the weight of the car. Now, when that's going round and round and round, obviously it's going to create some heat, and just happens that the Firestone tire, there's too much heat. It got so hot that the thing exploded, and the tire would catch on fire, and because there's metal in there as well, so it gets really hot, and it can actually, your tire can actually catch on fire, can explode. So that was happening with those Ford and those Firestone tires. Now, it was due to lack of maintenance, but the government has the stupid factor built into all these products, that if somebody were to do that, what would happen? And that's what happened. And the thing is that the manufacturers knew that, and they didn't do anything about it. They actually allowed the tire to be released. They allowed the Ford to have that tire, even though they had that information, and they knew this was going to happen. And that's why it was a big problem, because they traded, and because there are other options available. There are other tires available. Sure, they were a little bit more expensive, probably than the cheap Firestones, but they made that trade-off for human safety, and that's why they got in the big trouble. But for most of the people, didn't matter, because most people, if their tires were so low on air, first of all, you probably maintain your car, and you wouldn't let your tires get that way. Also, you would have noticed it. You would have walked by and seen it, or you would have been driving the car. Why does the car feel so funny? But some people don't. I mean, some people are just, there's that the government has to, and the manufacturers and all these products has built in that the factor for those for that percentage of people who can't look after themselves. So that's a little bit about air pressure. Get a good tire gauge. There's so many crappy tire gauges, and some of them are got the pen type, and some of them have the dial tape. Now, not one is particularly better or worse than the other. Either one can be bad, but try to buy one where you can return it, so you can try it out I can go over some different brands. I'm sure the big brands are really good, like Snap-on. I'm sure their tire pressures are first rate, or Craftsman, or one of the big brand names. I would be more confident in those, but there's probably some no-name brands or cheap brands that do good. I mean, how hard is it to make a thing that measures air pressure, tire pressure? It's not that hard, you would think. But I've had some tire pressure gauges that are just terrible. Every time you use it, for the same tire, the same time, you check in the tire and you get a different reading, or you let about a little bit of air out, or you add a little bit of air out, and the gauge doesn't change. So just parking here. So I recommend getting a tire gauge that you can return, and you buy it from one of the big stores, and you find out it doesn't work, or it's not accurate, then just return it and get another one, because it's kind of a trial and error. You go to the store and say, "Oh, does this tire pressure gauge work? Is it a good one?" They're going to say, "Yeah, of course." So you have to try it out yourself. But luckily there's a lot of stores here around that you can buy something like that, and if you don't like it, easily return it. So I kind of lean toward buying that from a retail store. Even if you're going to pay a little bit more, you can always return the thing if it's not working right, and then you can check it out. So that's very worthwhile to have as a good, accurate, easy to use tire gauge. There's my tip, and thank you for watching.